Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name is Mike Amos, drinking a hot cup of coffee on this beautiful, beautiful overcast day. I love it, I love it, I love it. I love the overcast weather. A lot of people say, oh, it's raining, I want it to be sunny, but hey, I like it just like it is. And of course, it's a beautiful day to be inside. If you got to be inside, you're not having to be out here in this rain, but it is. I felt like that it was good that it started raining because we were getting some dry weather. Of course, it's a big week this week in Troy. We got Troy and Georgia Southern going at it this Saturday afternoon at Memorial Stadium, and of course that game is scheduled for 6 o'clock, and it's a big conference game, and of course both these teams have learned to not like each other, and so usually that makes for the best football games if they don't like each other. And of course we've got a lot of folks going to be coming into town, a lot of Georgia Southern people. They follow their team real well, and of course Troy people coming in. A good buddy of mine comes in every day from West Georgia, and of course he loves our Trojans, and we have a lot of people like this comes in from from far out, and drive in from Savannah, Georgia on a college football Saturday, and got another friend of ours that lives down in Jacksonville, Florida, and he drives up every ball game. We have a lot of those fans, and if you see them out there, hey, wish them help them in any way they can, because they're Trojans just like we are. Of course, a lot of big weekend in college football with the Trojans. Troy, of course, you've got a huge Sun Belt Conference schedule, but of course Troy and Georgia Southern, and then just across the way, about an hour and 15 minutes away, we've got Auburn and Georgia going at it in a big Southeastern Conference game, and of course we know how big that is when those two people meet. Nobody gives Auburn much of a chance because of how physical Georgia is, and they are a real physical team, and they proved it against Arkansas. But I really believe Arkansas was not a very physical team, and I think Auburn, they know what to expect now from Georgia, and everybody says that Georgia doesn't have a good offense. Well, they don't have to have a good offense. All they got to do is just run it straight at folks because they're so big and strong. And of course, nobody gives Auburn much of a chance. But hey, they've got old Bo, and old Bo, he's a hard-nosed football player, and he'll lead his Auburn team, I promise you. Of course, Alabama travels to play over at A&M, Texas A&M, and it should be a good football game. At the beginning of the season, a lot of people have actually have A&M to do very well this year, and of course they are trying to go step to step with Alabama, and of course they can do it this Saturday. They've got it all in their own hands, but I don't know. It's going to be It's going to be tough, to go up against the Crimson Tide of Alabama, who ranks number 1 in the nation, and of course they're followed by Georgia, who's number 2, and and then number 3, Oregon was beaten this past weekend, and so now Ohio State is starting to make a little move, they offensively, and one of the guys that is such a big part in their efforts is a young man that used to live right here in Troy, Alabama, and of course they said that he loved Troy so much he named his son after Troy, named his son Troy, and of course we'll be talking more about him this morning on our show. And of course we've got a lot of other people that are playing real good football right now. Of course, everybody expected Clemson to have been right in there with Alabama. Well, it's proven that they're on hard times right now, especially offensively. Of course, Alabama returns everybody, and of course, the number 3 pick by most of the polls had Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma, everybody sort of forgets them. They're undefeated. They haven't been pretty, but they're undefeated, and that's all I got to say there. In Georgia, at this time, at the beginning of the year, they were ranked number 4, but right now it looks like Alabama and Georgia, they've got big games this week. Of course, another team that a lot of people were thinking was going to be very good was Iowa State. Well, Iowa State, they have not played very well. And, of course, a couple of these teams that were not predicted to do anything but have done real well, it's the Cincinnati Bearcats. So, North Carolina, well, they were expected to do well. They haven't done well. Notre Dame is not playing well. Florida got beat by Kentucky this past weekend, so they're not doing very well. Wisconsin has played terrible football, so they have not done what they were supposed to do. And Miami of Florida has not done what they were supposed to do. And another team out there that has been a little bit of a surprise to a lot of people was Oklahoma State. LSU has fallen on hard times as they were beat by Auburn this past weekend. Of course, I hope that you'll make plans to, that's good coffee, make plans to be out at the football game this weekend and support our Trojans. We play 3 home games this season, and already they've played 2 of those games, and this is their 3rd home game of the year. And it's a lot of fun, and the tickets are at probably as reasonably priced as any football tickets out there. And of course, Georgia Southern is being a rival that it is, and then of course we've got some other big games coming up this weekend. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
It's fall sale days on GE Appliances at Bracken Appliance in Enterprise in Dothan. Our warehouses are loaded with appliances. Get great savings on these 4 sets of washers and dryers, starting as low as $449 each or $898 for the pair. Shop now for special savings on GE Laundry at Bracken Appliance in Enterprise in Dothan. Take it home with you or Bracken will deliver. Buy local.
Check out the scoreboard. J.D. Power's #1 in initial quality midsize truck. Jeep Gladiator. 0 APR for 36 months. And no payments for 90 days. Shop PremierTroy.com today during Jeep Adventure Days and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Forevermark Diamonds. Beautiful, rare, responsibly sourced. Available at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry.
Check out the scoreboard. J.D. Power's #1 in initial quality truck. Ram. #1 longest lasting truck. Ram. Right now. Get 0% APR for 72 months on new Ram. Shop PremierTroy.com during Ram Power Days and save. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Bracken Appliance, the largest appliance store in the Wiregrass, is the place to go to find your dream kitchen. Choose from names like Wolf, Sub-Zero, GE's Cafe Line, and KitchenAid. If a dream kitchen is in your future, you owe it to yourself to shop Bracken Appliance. Bracken specializes in customer service, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff with that special touch to make you feel welcome. Dream no more about your new kitchen. Find it at Bracken Appliance. Come on in, buy local and take it with you, or Bracken will deliver.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, of course, brought to you by our many outstanding sponsors. And, of course, we want to say hello to everybody at Bird Drugs this morning. They're getting ready for a big hot breakfast every morning at Bird Drugs, of course, the best pharmacy in town. Of course, my good friend Joe is about as accommodating as you're going to get when it comes to being a druggist that helps his customers out every single day, and we appreciate Joe Watson for doing that. Of course, we were talking about how some of these football teams have done what they were supposed to do, and some have not as far as winning goes. But some of the teams out there that are surprising some people, one of them, of course, is Penn State. They're still undefeated, and but they have got a pretty tough test this weekend. And you know, each week in college football, and you know, somebody's going to get knocked off. And right now, Texas is playing pretty good. Coastal Carolina, out of the Sun Belt, is playing real good. They're ranked number 13 in the country, and that's real good. And right now, being undefeated, other teams that have played well in our conference so far has been Appalachian State and Louisiana and of course Coastal Carolina. Those are the three top teams in our conference right now that are playing real good football. Now this weekend it's going to be some tough tests going on. You know, Texas and Oklahoma playing what they call the Red River Shootout, and that's going to be a big game. It's played in Dallas every year and in the old Cotton Bowl. So that game always big. It's the state fair is going on in Texas, and it's a big to do in that part of the country. Of course, another big game coming up is Georgia-Florida. A lot of people think if somebody in that division can knock off Georgia, it would be Florida. Well, they got beat by Kentucky the other day. I don't know if they're ready to play Georgia or not. But I was looking at the national picks, the people that they thought at this time would be playing real good football. And one of them, of course, as we mentioned, was Oklahoma State, but another one is Arizona. Nobody expected them. They were predicted to be ranked number 19 in the country coming in, but probably the surprise team of them all has been 18th ranked. Well, it was not. Iowa was predicted before the year as the 18th best team in the country. Well, you know what? They're the third best team in the country. So a lot of good football, and of course a lot of good football games yet to play, and we'll be looking forward to another big weekend of college football. Of course, if you're going to plan to be out at the stadium this weekend, they've got a lot of nice things for the kids. They've got a amusement type park right there in the baseball facility there at Troy, and always a great place to take your children prior to the game. You know, of course, a lot of people come into the game and tailgate, and that makes it, you know, have a great feeling of camaraderie among your fan base, and there's going to be a lot of entertainment. They've got bands going to be playing. Not just the Sound of the South, but you know, a lot of these pop bands are going to also be there to provide entertainment prior to the game. Of course, the alumni house across the way over there is going to have a little gathering this weekend of food and fellowship, and of course, it's just a great time to be a Trojan, and a lot of fun out there, and we appreciate all of you for supporting your team, and Troy is your team, and we've got to get behind them, and we're going to turn this corner and make some things happen. Want to mention our good friends when we talk about at banking, no better people in the world than the people at Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need, and we appreciate them being strong supporters. And of course, I want to also mention too that our good friends that located right down the street from us, and Wise Office Supply, and of course, Wise Office Supply is one of the leading places to support our team, and of course, you know, they're also big Auburn fans, and yeah, you can't have that. There's certain teams that certain people that get in their motor home and go over every Auburn home game, and those Wise boys are one of them. That whole family and all their friends probably have 30 to 50 to maybe 60 people there for every home game. So they make it a big time and a big weekend for football fans in that area. And of course, again, we're looking for some folks that have gone dove hunting recently. And have we had many dove hunts, Steve?
I haven't had one.
The dove hunting is sort of, you just don't see it much anymore. And of course, I was at a place yesterday that they were getting ready to have a hunt, and they didn't know if the bird would come in or not. And that's the problem with bird hunting, is that you just don't know, you know, what to expect now, because you know, just not that many birds out there. Of course, quail hunting has got to be a different story. You know, quail hunting, they go and they take the quail and they let them out, and then they go back in the afternoon and they shoot them. That makes it sort of easy, but one thing about that kind of hunting is that you know that the bird are going to be there. So I want to mention Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass, and I talked to Jason Gregory recently, and of course he's so busy with his little girls, and boy, they were great riders, and they been going over all parts of the country with their rodeo activities and so forth. And of course, you know, right now Premier's got all kinds of great sales going on new and used cars and trucks. And right now, I don't know if you can find any location that has got more cars in it than Premier. And of course, we want you to support our car dealers just like we support our football teams, and everybody's got to make a living, and of course they make a great living at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep on the bypass. I want to mention the Up Store on the South Frontage Street right here, and of course they do a tremendous job with their program, and of course, you know, they're out there and they assist our industry, and they also support our schools and our businesses. And I want to also mention our good friends at located on South 3 Street, and of course, I want to mention Express Oil Change, located on out on the bypass. And of course, you know, you need to get your oil changed. They'll have you in and out of there in about 15 minutes, and those anonymous boys know how to do it too. They do a great job. Also, Wells Fargo Advisor, and want to say hello to Colin McCrary and the good folks there. And of course, Little Caesar's Pizza, and of course, I don't think there's a better pizza in town, and of course most convenient pizza that you're going to find anywhere. Riding down the road many times I've said, hey, I'm hungry, what am I going to do? Now I'll pull in there to and get a big pizza and take it home and enjoy a delicious pizza. Of course, want to mention also our good friends at Sandbuck Insurance. Want to say hello to Denny Sanford this morning. And, of course, for all your insurance needs, Sandbuck Insurance is the place to go. And my good friend Terry Moats at A1 Services, ladies and gentlemen, for air conditioning and heating, whatever your problem might be, he's there, and he'll be dependable as you'll get anywhere when it comes to your air conditioning and your heating. Of course, we've got it by ourselves this morning, and want to mention a few big college games coming up this weekend. Now tonight, we've got a call coming in here. Good morning, you on Today in LA? How you doing?
Well, the glory of living at Drayton Beach is a bad thing today. We got a lake in both sides of our yard.
A what?
A lake is in both sides of our yard.
What you mean? You flooded? You were flooded? Is that right?
Yeah, our whole porch is underwater right now. So just one of those things.
Well, do you expect it to get worse?
Well, it's supposed to rain for the next 2 more days.
Well, the lake did it.
We go outside. We have a sump pump and a couple of French drains, and those ones were clogged up. So I had to go out there and do that.
Yeah.
But, we've had tremendous rain. We're under a tornado watch down here too.
Oh boy, I tell you, that's something. Are the children gonna go to school today or what?
Yeah, we got Mary Prater on the road, and now I don't take Millie usually till 8:30.
We're talking about a little 5-year-old and a little 3-year-old. Is that right?
Almost about to be 4.
Yeah, and of course, I know.
I was thinking about you. I was thinking about you today, man. 6 months since the Lord saved you, man.
What had it been that long, Mike?
Yeah, 6 months today.
I think the people could see that I still have some effects from it, from a stroke, and I'm just glad to be here, Mike. Sure am. Sure glad you called because it was getting tough this morning, Mike. I've got it by myself.
Right?
Yeah, you go at this sometimes by yourself. It's pretty tough. I was talking to everybody.
When you went to Europe for 2 weeks, I did it all by myself, and it is tough to do it all by yourself.
Of course, we want to mention all the things that are going on this weekend, Mike, with a big college football weekend. Just think of what that does for our economy, Mike, having 25,000 people in our community.
Well, I don't know if we'll have that many, but we might have 20, I hope. We'll see how the attendance is, I guess. You got a big Alabama game against Texas A&M at 7. You got Auburn coming off playing Georgia on CBS at 2:30, so usually that's not a good sign for a great crowd.
Well, I don't know. I say this: go ahead and put Georgia and Florida on your tape system, and support your Troy Trojans, and that's the way I look at it. Hey, Troy Trojans come first. That's us. That's us. That's our community.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll have a lot of people staying in the tailgate, watching the Bears.
Oh yeah, we'll have some of that
coming on CBS at 7 o'clock. So.
Yeah.
CBS is going to have both Alabama and Auburn this week.
Of course, that's pretty good. No question about it.
I guess they're upset though. They're probably thinking Texas A&M was going to be undefeated when they were playing Alabama. They weren't.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier on our show, Mike. All these teams that were supposed to be good, some of them have not been so good.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo Fisher has had a real hard time finding a really good quarterback at A&M. I mean,
he sure has.
He's not great by any means. And, he's supposed to be kind of a quarterback guru. Everybody knows what he did with Jameis Winston at Florida State. But he hadn't had the same luck at A&M.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you the biggest, I reckon, but, they haven't lost but one game, but, or have they? How many games has Clemson lost?
2.
See, they're the biggest. Most people thought they would be very good again, and a lot of people had them ranked second going into the season.
Yeah, they lost to Georgia and NC State.
Yeah, want to mention the Withington group this morning. Remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Withington group right here in Troy. And of course, all my buddies watching us this morning from all over the country. I've got a friend of mine that is from a little town over in West Georgia. He called this morning and was wanting to know if he could get some tickets. And I said, well, we'll see. Of course, tickets are very reasonably priced at Troy. So I said, hey.
I don't think Georgia Southern bring much of a crowd. I mean, their coach got fired. They're 2-3. I mean, they might have 500 people, I guess.
Don't you think they'll be real competitive, though, Mike?
I don't know. I don't know what to think of them. I mean, you can't really base anything off Arkansas State because Arkansas State so bad on defense. So I don't know what to think of this game. Vegas thinks Troy's a little bit better. They're 4.5 right now.
Yeah. On the front page of the Messenger this morning, it says, have fun, fun, fun till your daddy takes the T-bird away. The Beach Boys were in town Monday night, Mike, and had a real good performance.
The Beach Boys tribute band.
Yeah, I know it says "Sail On."
Cover band.
And really had a good group there, and a lot of fun. And those folks that were up close, they were just like the old days, Mike. It really was fun to watch them.
Did you stay up and watch your Yankees play in the wild card game last night against the Red Sox?
I didn't know they played last night. What was the final score? Yankees win?
I was watching it last night, and the Red Sox were up 4-1, and they ended up defeating the Yankees last night in the wild card game.
So the Yankees are out of it, is that right?
Yeah, the Yankees played great down the stretch. But it's one of those things where you only got one game to prove it. So now the Red Sox will advance, and they'll play the Tampa Bay Rays. It's amazing how great Tampa Bay is.
I can remember at one time.
Red Sox won last night 6-2.
Okay. At one time, I would have cried like a baby over the Yankees. That was back when I was a kid. I just loved those Yankees and loved Mickey Mantle and all of them. Something we might be missing a little bit on. People need to get their flu shots, and a lot of people have sort of not thought about that flu shot because they were so concerned about the other shot. And, man, I am so glad I've got that shot, aren't you, Mike?
Well, I mean, to me, it's always been a no-brainer if you want to kind of live a somewhat normal life.
Yeah, I know it. High in the world, can you be sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, and not have your flu shot? Hey, I've gone a lot of places over the last few months, and thank goodness, thank God we have the flu shot, or we'd be having so many people in our hospitals. And I was looking.
You mean not the flu shot, but the COVID shot?
Yeah, the COVID shot. Well, what I'm saying, the COVID shot, but at the same time, the flu shot. I've always taken the flu shot every year, and I need to do it. And I haven't done it yet.
Well, a lot of people say you don't have much flu anymore because everybody's been wearing masks for so long. You didn't have much of a flu season. Well,
and hopefully by wearing the mask, we have slowed this thing down, and I just hope that it's going to remain that way. And it's something to be concerned about, no question.
Here's your schedule for Major League Baseball today. You got another wild card game. You got the Cardinals, who had won like 17 in a row. I don't know how they finished the season.
Boy, aren't they? They're the most amazing team in the world when it comes to tournament. To the season-ending win streaks.
So the Cardinals will play the Dodgers tonight on TBS. That game will be at 7 p.m. Yeah. All right, go, Mill.
Just he and her, a little girl, telling her what to do this morning. Yeah.
And then you'll have the Boston Red Sox playing the Tampa Bay Rays starting on Thursday night. Chicago White Sox will play the Houston Astros on Thursday night. And then the Braves, everybody loves the Braves. The Braves will play the Brewers on Friday on TBS.
Friday on TBS. Well, that's this Friday.
If you're an old Braves fan, I guess they used to be the Milwaukee Braves, and now they're the Atlanta Braves. So
Yeah.
you got, I guess, 2 places the Braves used to play.
Yeah, let me remind some people of the old Braves, and I'm just, everybody says I'm losing it in many ways, but let's see if I'm losing it. At first base, Dale Crandall. At second base, Johnny Logan. No, wait a minute. He's shortstop. Johnny Logan's shortstop. At third base, Eddie Matthews. The catcher is Dale Crandall. The center fielder is Bill Bruton. The left fielder is Hank Aaron, and the right fielder is I'm having a little problem with that. And on the mound, Lou Burdette, Warren Spahn, 2 great pitchers, and that is your starting lineups for the Milwaukee Braves.
That's impressive.
Off the top of my head, I think it's pretty good. For no man, they say he's losing it.
I can't do it. I used to be able to name the starting lineup of the Braves circa 1980s.
Yeah. And I know my buddy who's shaving this morning is getting a kick out of it. For the Brooklyn Dodgers, the starting lineup for the Brooklyn Dodgers. I might have trouble here. The catcher is Roy Campanella.
Okay.
The first baseman is Gil Hodges.
Okay.
The center fielder is Duke Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
The shortstop is Pee Wee Reese.
Okay.
The second baseman, I want to think is Charlie Neal. I might be wrong.
Okay.
Sandy Amarose is in left field. Isn't it amazing this just jumps out at you now? And the catcher, well, I already said Roy Campanella. That's right. And the pitchers are Carl Erskine, Clem Levine, Preacher Rowe. Let's see, I got a couple of more pitchers out there. Claude Osteen, but he might have been a little bit later on. Osteen and Drysdale. What if you had the pitching deal of Don Drysdale, and you had the Clem Levine, and you had the great Sandy Koufax.
Yep.
Those kind of guys, and Don Drysdale. That would be your pitching.
I wish I could have seen
good.
Sandy Koufax pitch.
And Koufax threw it hard. He threw it hard. He
wasn't a big man either, was he?
Not really, but he wasn't small either though. He was but of course the New York Giants.
Says your pitchers from the 1960 Brooklyn Dodgers were Roger Craig, Don Drysdale, Jim Golden, Sandy Koufax, Clem Levine, Danny McDevitt, Phil Ortega, Ed Pomfris, Johnny Padres.
Yeah, Johnny Padres was a good one.
Ed Roco, Ed Roebuck, Larry Sherry.
Larry Sherry, yeah, exactly. Let me give you I started on the San Francisco Giants, or the New York Giants, the old leagues. The center fielder was Willie Mays. The first baseman was The catcher was wait a minute, I have a little
you
problem.
better go to another team.
No,
I'm thinking about teams. I could name pretty much all of the starting lineup of the 1978 and 79 Alabama National Championship teams.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Who would it be?
Well, you got at left tackle Buddy Adelette.
Yeah.
Left guard, I think, was Mike Brock from Montgomery, a big-time
That's
lawyer
right.
now. Center was Dwight Stevenson, Hall of Famer. Right guard was a guy named Jim Bunch, who was an All-American.
You're right.
I can't think of the right tackle.
Croft.
No, he was before.
Oh, he was before? Okay.
Split end was Keith Pugh. Quarterback was Stedman Shealy. Fullback was Steve Whitman.
Oh, man.
Halfback was Major Ogilvy.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know who.
That is awfully good.
The year before it was Tony Nathan. I don't know who the halfback was. Defense, you had, I won't go through it, but you had
like Marty Lyons and all them, didn't you?
They were 78.
Oh, are they? Okay. I couldn't get it.
You had Marty Lyons. There was people like Marty Lyons, Byron Braggs, Barry Krause, Rich Wingo, Murray Legg, Don McNeil, David Hanna,
All right, let me throw some out right now. Mike, who were the 4 guys that stopped Penn State on the goal line?
Murray Leg, Marty Lyons, Don McNeil, Rich Wingo, and
the one, the curly-headed one.
The linebacker 77. I'm drawing a blank.
Wait a minute, the curly-headed guy, Mike, the guy
that's in the painting that's on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
He made the tackle.
Yeah, Barry Krause.
Barry Krause. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but I was so silly when I was I'm still pretty silly. But
my whole life.
this picture was over his bed when he was a kid, and every night he was asked to tell me who they were, and he would say, Moe Leg.
There was a cornerback that didn't play much all his senior year, but in the last couple of games they put him in. I can't remember his name. And he had some great games, and he came in from the outside and kind of disrupted that running back before he went airborne.
He went out, buddy, from Lanier.
David Hanna didn't play much. He was hurt, but he was in on that series.
Yeah.
I think Rich Wingo made the same stop on 3rd down. That's Alan Jones' brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Don McNeil made the great tackle on 2nd down when it looked like the receiver was going in. I tell you, I watched that game on the ESPN Classic a year or so again for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
That was the hardest hitting, most physical football game to this day I have ever seen in my life.
That's Mike. All right, let me ask you this: he's a lawyer in Montgomery, successful lawyer. He was not a star quarterback, and he played in the secondary some. But he was very good. Do you know who I'm talking about? Jeff Blitz. You remember Jeff Blitz?
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Very, very outstanding lawyer.
Mike Brock was a walk-on that became an All-SEC player, and I understand he is a big-time corporate lawyer now, one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah. And of course, we are...
Tommy Wilcox was a safety.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, it's amazing how you can remember that.
In 79. He wasn't there in 78.
Yeah.
Is Tommy Wilcox still doing his fishing show?
He's a character. I hope he is.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can remember a lot of those great players, but I couldn't. I lost time of the year.
I'm reading your book you gave me about the Alabama families that have brothers and children that played. And last night I read about Clell Hobson and Butch Hobson.
Yeah, that's right.
Butch Hobson was a backup quarterback and defensive back at Alabama.
You know something else he did, didn't he?
He became famous because he played for the Boston Red Sox on some.
And with that wall, he hit a bunch of home runs.
Yeah, he had some over the wall. So, but he never lettered at Alabama, and you can tell the author asked him. It kind of bothered him.
Yeah.
Because he gave his stats. He had 25 carries for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns as the backup quarterback to Terry Davis.
Yeah,
and he said he played 9 games.
Yeah.
But he still didn't letter. So
that would
back
be,
then it was harder to earn a letter than it is
that's
today.
Right. Well, let me say.
If you actually played in the game, they didn't say you're a letterman. I thought that's all it took.
Well, they were just they would have formulas like 4 games. But Hobson said he never talked to Coach Bryant about it, and some coaches later told him that Coach Bryant wants to letter the people that were older, that have been with the program longer, and so there was like a 3rd-string quarterback that was a senior, and he got the other letter, and he didn't like to give more than 2 letters at one position, so...
Yeah. I'm going to throw out a couple of names.
Today, Butch Hobson would, today you probably just come in for mop-up duty for 2 plays and you get a letter.
Let me bring back a few members. These are Alabama guys that you might not remember, but were great high school players and did okay at Alabama. Neb Hayden. You remember that name?
No.
Oh, boy. He was a good... Hey, Benny Ripito.
I've heard that name.
The quarterback from Memphis, and never really played a lot, but would have probably been All-American in another place. And Neb Hayden came out of South Carolina.
Hey, let me go back to Clell Hobson. He was the quarterback in the Notre Dame box, or whatever they ran, with Bobby Marlowe, and the author of this book really brags and talks repeatedly about Bobby Marlowe,
really?
how great. And he mentions that Marlowe had a good team his sophomore year and a really good team his senior year, but his junior year, for some reason, Alabama went 5-6. It was surprising. They were supposed to be much better. But they still beat Auburn easily in the last game. And you know how many yards Bobby Marlowe had in that game?
212.
33.
30, is that all he had? The next
230.
year?
That was a record for until Derrick Henry came along or Sean Alexander.
What was it? 230.
233 yards and probably about.
Yeah.
I don't know how many carries he had.
Let me tell you something about Bobby Marlowe, and you know, my old buddies from Luverne, if you're watching, and they played against him, and you know, don't you know, and they said they were scared to death when Bobby Marlowe would get the ball that he was going to be in the secondary. They were going to bring him down. But it was really tough, though.
For a running back to have 233 yards in 1951, most teams wouldn't have 233 yards of offense in the whole game.
But let me just tell you this: he very rarely even came out of the game. See, he was a star linebacker too, and you what do they call it, two platooning or something, whatever. But he was a star linebacker and a star made All-American as a linebacker and a running back, and he was born and raised out here at the children's home.
Well, we keep mentioning because I bet there's people younger than me that don't know enough about Bobby Marlowe.
The thing about him, they said he was real fast. Now, he was raised at the home. Can't you see that kid out there at the playground at the home and kicking that ball from one end to the other? And
he was fast, and he was kind of a 1951's version of Herschel Walker or Bo Jackson.
That's right. He was rugged. He was a rugged guy, and
real physical, wasn't he?
And he went on and played in Canada. He did it because, listen to this, they paid more money in Canada at the time, and he wanted to go where the money was, or he would have been a household word.
He was picked. He was the second overall pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Somebody from Troy was not the number 1 pick, but the number 2 pick.
That's right.
And he, like you said, for the New York Giants, so he would have been playing with Frank Gifford and those guys.
Yeah.
What might have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Vegas really likes Troy. Troy's going to 5.5.
What's wrong with Vegas? Why would you even want to look at Vegas, Mike, unless you were a gambler?
I tell you what, man, great games this week. I mean, it's really just great games up and down the board. You got Iowa and Penn State this week.
All right, let me give you a few.
Oklahoma, Texas, if y'all talk about that.
I know.
Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa, Penn State. You got, of course, Alabama, Texas A&M. You got Auburn, Georgia. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Let me. I've got them sitting in front of me. Let's look at it a little bit. All right, now, we got Cincinnati playing at 7 p.m. on ESPN against Temple. That's not a very good deal there.
Temple just beat Memphis.
I know they did beat them. Stanford is at Arizona State, and Arizona State's playing real good. They play at 10:30 ESPN on ESPN.
That game's gonna be on Friday.
Oh, it is. It's a Friday game. Okay. West Virginia at Baylor now. I think he's going to go down again, Mike.
Well, he's only a 3-point underdog, so basically they're calling that game a pick'em.
Now, of course, Baylor, was not as impressed with them against Oklahoma State. Evidently, Oklahoma State's pretty good, Mike.
Yeah, that's.
I watched all of Neil Brown's press conference, and he just flat out said we just didn't show up. He said we didn't show up in the first half, and we're not good enough to not show up against anybody. And they got beat on the last-second field goal, and he tells it like it is. Neil Brown in the press conference.
All right, Arkansas at Arkansas at Ole Miss. I've lost respect for both of them.
Got to go with Ole Miss in this game. I think that they'll outscore.
Rice, we were talking about yesterday. You circle Georgia and you circle Alabama. And the rest of the crews out there are not near physical. They're neither one. There's not a team in the nation ready to play Alabama or Georgia.
That's the conventional wisdom right now.
They're so physical.
There's 2 teams and everybody else, and it'll probably be a best of 2
Yeah.
They'll play in the SEC championship game and then play in the national championship
And bless
game.
their hearts, those Auburn Tigers are going to be out there, and they're going to be fighting for every ounce they can get, but they just don't have the physical being that Georgia and Alabama have.
They're not man enough.
That's right. You were told that recently, weren't you?
I don't know. I'm not going to count out Auburn at home against a big rival.
Right. There's no way.
But I tell you what, I've seen Georgia fly the coop many times.
I don't know. I don't know how Auburn scores 10 points.
Well, Auburn. I mean, Georgia's offense with Stetson Bennett the fourth.
Yeah.
He looks good to me, but is he an elite quarterback? Is he going to be the quarterback?
Y'all, after watching Georgia play, they don't have to throw it. All they've got to do is just run it straight at everybody.
Do they run straight at Auburn?
They're so physical.
What do you think? What do you think the Alabama Ole Miss score is if they take the opening possession? Which they made it to the 10-yard line. If they score a touchdown there, what do you think the score in that game is? I mean, I think Alabama will win, so I think it was going to be more of a shootout.
Yeah, it might have been close.
It's a completely different game. That turned the whole game. So Ole Miss probably would have covered.
Yeah, Arkansas, of course, I think Ole Miss had beat them, but not real crazy about either one of them. South Carolina and Tennessee.
I like Arkansas' coach. I mean, I think they're going to be really tough for anybody to play them at home. I don't know how well they're going to do on the road this year, but I feel like Ole Miss, if they get Mingo back, their other great wide receiver, he was their top guy.
So he was gone, wasn't he?
Alabama, so if they can get him back, they're going to be loaded on offense again.
Ole Miss. All right, South Carolina, a team that Troy could have easily beat, plays at Tennessee. Tennessee's going to run roughshod over them. They're going to beat them. They're going to beat them 30 points.
Wow.
Hey, right now, what it is, Tennessee has found on offense. Mm-hmm. Their coach has never played football in his life until he started. I mean, he never played the game of football.
He played football. He was an All-American quarterback at Oklahoma, Josh Heupel.
He was.
Didn't he win the Heisman Trophy?
Boy, did you see him being interviewed? He looked like
I think he was the runner-up.
He looked like he should own a candy store. Really,
he was a star quarterback at Oklahoma.
But I tell you what, he's got Tennessee playing real good right now. Take Tennessee and give the 30 points if you have to. You won't have to.
10.5. Tennessee's got a quarterback that transferred in from Virginia Tech that's really helped him.
Oh yeah.
They originally started a guy that transferred in from Michigan, Milton.
Yeah.
And now they're, I think now their quarterback's I think Hooker.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fact. Nowadays, no team should be without a star quarterback, because all they got to do is go to the portal and say, "I'll take you. Come on, you come on, you come on." They'll take in at least 3 quarterbacks, and one of them's going to be good, at least.
Yeah, it makes you wonder at Troy. If Jacob Free would have been, I mean, I know he wanted to go ahead and start his high school coaching career, but who would have played more likely, Gunnar Wasser or Jacob Free?
Yeah.
If he wanted to play another quarterback, I don't even know that answer.
Let me tell you this. This way I look at Troy's quarterback. Of course, he's a transfer from Georgia. He was Mr. Football.
Transfer from Missouri.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Missouri, and he was Mr.
Football in Arkansas.
Football in Arkansas. He's a good football player at times, and sometimes he's very ordinary, the way I look at him. But he's our quarterback, and I'm going to stand behind him. But at the same time, if this quarterback is not running on all cylinders, which he had not always run on all cylinders this year.
Well, they say he's got an injured knee.
Yeah, well, why playing when you got a guy like Gunnar Watson, who's sitting over there, who threw for over 2,000 yards last year? He's already proven he can play at this level. Why not give him a chance? And why not give the offense a spark?
You've been beating that drum all year. I'm kind of with you.
If he started off against Georgia Southern, it would give our entire offensive team a spark. The only time we've even looked at like an offensive team was against Southern University, and of course, they're 1AA.
We had our first drive against Liberty was good.
Paul has sat out football for 2 years. So he sat out all last year and didn't play at all. And then he was in the transfer portal the year before. So, technically he hadn't played football in 2 years until this year.
Well, I can tell something was wrong for him when he was trying. Well, I don't even know if he was trying, but trying to make a tackle on that guy that intercepted the pass. You know, you take that play away, Troy probably wins the game, Mike.
Yeah, it was a 14-point swing. Troy could either tied the game at halftime or been leading at halftime. Instead, they were trailing by 10.
Because let me tell you,
it was 10 to 7, and you would think Detroit's either going to kick a field goal there or get no points, but you're going to at least go into the half down 10 to 7.
Yeah. Defensively, Troy's playing well, and they'll have to play good defense against Georgia Southern.
Well, how about great?
Yeah, they're playing real good football, but they're going to run into a option type quarterback and an option type. You know what? I look at them all the time. The guy Wirtz, who transferred, their star quarterbacks transferred to Louisville so he could play wide receiver and would have a shot at the pros. His name's Wirtz, and he was a super quarterback in that offense. No telling how good Georgia Southern would be if they had him right now.
Yeah, he transferred and
yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
Here's your top 5 total defenses in the country. Who do you think is number 1?
Iowa or Georgia?
Georgia. Okay.
Georgia's given up 177 yards per game.
Who's second?
Second is Iowa State. 233 yards per game. Third is Wisconsin with 249 yards given up per game. This is surprising here. Houston has given up 253 yards a game. Daniel Hogerson got Houston 4-1.
And I tell you what, I saw them.
Troy Trojans are number 5.
Wow. Oh, man, okay.
They're the 5th best defense, total defense in the country. They're only allowing 4.4 yards per play and only allowing 266 yards per game.
I tell you what, Coach is doing a great job, Mike. His name is Coach
Brandon Hall.
Brandon Hall. And
round up the top 10. Number 6 is Liberty. Hugh Freeze has the defense. That's kind of scary. Iowa's number 7. Army is number 8. Dad's favorite team, Arkansas, is number 9.
Oh,
and Coastal Carolina is number 10.
Oh, man.
Sunbelt's represented in the top 10.
Yeah.
Good stuff there, Michael.
You know what? Let me ask you this. The way, Mike, don't you look at this, as could happen. Now, it sounds crazy. But if Coastal Carolina continues to dominate, and they're dominating everybody they play, they're dominating. You know, somebody's going to have to look at them down the line. Coastal Carolina has been that impressive. If they continue to do it, see, they're knocking folks off and beating them 50 points, you know.
They need a game against a big blue blood program that they can beat, and they would be in the playoff consideration.
Very similar to, wouldn't it be great to see them play Cincinnati?
You know, Cincinnati is now got a good chance of making the playoffs. Why? Yeah. Because they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So you got to have that game to win it. Who's Coastal Carolina's big game this year? They don't have one.
I don't believe they do. But let's just say this: they're very good. All right, here we go. Everybody knows that Tennessee's playing good offense right now. They're gonna beat South Carolina. Vanderbilt at Florida, forget that one. Georgia Tech at Duke. I don't know what happened to Georgia Tech this week. They got killed. Here's a good one. Now, let me tell you this. I'm gonna tell you something right now that's going to scare you when I say this.
No.
Maryland's got a shot at Ohio State. Maryland can score. Watch them. I know watch them, Mike, but they can score. Maryland can score.
They laid an egg
Did y'all watch in that game the other night?
No, I saw that Tallulah had 5 interceptions.
All right, high in the world has Michigan, who is 11th ranked. Michigan, they played at 11th. Michigan State at Rutgers. Michigan State is playing real well right now. Oklahoma versus Texas. Now, did y'all see that running back that everybody's been talking about?
Some.
He gained over 200 yards this past weekend. And his name is Robinson.
Just like Alabama's running back.
Yeah, and he's really good. And so do you pick the upset here? Somebody needs to beat Oklahoma.
It's not a big upset.
I've got a feeling Texas is going to beat Oklahoma. I think that would be one of them, yeah.
Here's what I want. I want everybody to lose as many games as possible on the off chance. I'm an Alabama fan. On the off chance that Alabama gets upset, I want Alabama to still make the playoffs with one loss.
Yeah.
So that to help that cause, you need all the other contenders to also have losses. That includes Oklahoma.
Okay,
Texas is already.
Coastal Carolina's already played their non-conference games. They were powerhouse games at home against Kansas and on the road against Buffalo.
So they needed a top 25 opponent. And
excuse me. They also played UMass.
Boy.
Kansas, Buffalo, and UMass.
Oh, man, they'll never have a chance with that kind of schedule.
See, Cincinnati is being discussed because they're going to run the table in their conference probably, and they beat Indiana, and they beat Notre Dame.
That's right.
So, I've always said Troy could get in the playoffs, especially when they expand it to 12 teams, if they run the table in the conference and they get an upset against a top 25 type team, which they could do.
Okay.
But you got to have that game to have that opportunity.
All right, Virginia at Louisville, and those are two sort of evenly matched teams. They can score. Virginia's got a real good offense. Got a pretty good quarterback. All right, let's move on here. I've got all these games sort of written out when they're going to play and everything. I've got Wake Forest at Syracuse. Wake Forest, somebody's got to beat them somehow. I wonder if Wake Forest ended up winning their conference and staying undefeated, would they have a shot at the playoffs?
Yeah, if the right things happen, they would.
SMU at Navy, Mike, and Navy's been shocking everybody lately. That one, they might surprise the people there. Wisconsin, Illinois, Florida State at North Carolina. Again, Florida State will lose big to North Carolina. Georgia at Auburn. That is a 3:30 kickoff on CBS.
What time is Troy and Georgia Southern?
That's 3:30 Eastern time.
What time is Troy and Georgia Southern?
2:30 Central.
So Troy's going against Auburn and Georgia.
That's right. All right, here we go. Here's a good one here, but they got beat this past weekend, but normally would be a great game. Boise State at BYU. That's a 10 o'clock game. 3:30 game.
Let me ask Michael a question. UAB had 36,000 at their first game at their new stadium against Liberty. They've got Florida Atlantic at home this Saturday. How many people do you think will be at the UAB Florida Atlantic game?
I'll say around 20,000.
Yeah, so their stadium will be more than half empty. They spent $300 million on.
Florida Atlantic, coming to town doesn't excite many people, I don't think. But
nobody on their schedule will excite anybody. That's why I expect a lot more of this in the years to come.
Oh, Boise got beat this past weekend and to Nevada. Tell us about this Nevada team. They must be pretty good.
Jay Norvell's a good coach there. It's one of those things where they had a coach there named Chris Alt that won
the quarterback
several games over the years. They were always good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those programs you never really hear about. That's where the guy that gets all the love that doesn't even play in the NFL plays, Kaepernick.
Yeah. All right. This matchup here, Penn State at Iowa. That's going to be a good game. Iowa is a strong defense against Penn State.
Iowa's got a really good running back there. I think Iowa will beat Penn State.
Yeah. And, of course, they play.
Well, those are two teams that could control their own destiny in the playoffs,
right.
too. If they run the table, they're in.
That's right. Both those teams.
You got Michigan State undefeated, Michigan undefeated, Iowa undefeated, Penn State undefeated. What?
Oh, wait a minute. Leave that little girl alone. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Oregon State at Washington State. I don't know much about them. I know Oregon State's better than they used to be. I'm going to just look at the ones that have, of course, Alabama South Alabama and Texas State, Georgia Southern at Troy.
I'm worried about Alabama being flat after the build up to the Ole Miss game.
Wait a minute, y'all. I've been looking wrong. We've been talking wrong the whole time. Troy is playing at 7 p.m. They're not in.
No, they're playing at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Central Time. So
they're going up against Alabama.
So they don't. I know, but they don't really have any.
They're also going out. They're also going off the end of Auburn, Georgia. I mean,
yeah.
we'd like to have 15 to 20,000 people.
Well, a lot of people will be watching that game in tailgate area, which is rightfully so. I don't blame them, you know. But Troy doesn't have any effect on any of them, I don't think. Now Alabama plays at 8 p.m. Central, so that'd be 7.
No, they play at 7.
No, excuse me. Yeah, that's right. 7 Central. 8,
I'm going to put on
Eastern.
Glass half full perspective. Troy's lost one game in conference, right, which was a disaster. But doesn't Troy pretty much controls its own destiny in the conference?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, everybody that could beat them, they play. So hypothetically, Troy could run the table and win the conference.
Yeah, but the problem
is
the
only problem is they're in the East with Coastal. So if Coastal wins the game, it's over for Troy.
Yeah.
But Coastal's not going to lose 2 games in conference.
But if Troy beat Coastal head up, which we're going to play them, Troy wins the tiebreaker, and Troy.
Yeah, but the likelihood of that happening is not good.
I know, but I'm saying it could. You say it could happen.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, anything could happen, I guess.
I'm trying to give reasons for Troy fans to go to the game and the players not to pack up the luggage and quit playing.
That's right.
You can still win. You can still win the Sun Belt. You can still win the Sun Belt Conference. That's the reason to play.
Yesterday, and they kept on talking about how there's so much more parity because all these super seniors, all these guys are back to their 6th year.
Yeah.
23-year-olds are going up against little 18-year-old kids.
That's right.
You know, grown man against a kid, and you know, you do look around throughout the country, and it's been a huge benefit for a lot of teams. Unfortunately, it hasn't been for Troy. But I guess you know, stranger things have happened. It would take Coastal Carolina's quarterback to get knocked out of the game for somebody to win that Coastal, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question. A couple other games.
The owner, you know, the guy that was the CEO of TD Ameritrade, you know, their former coach, they were talking about Neuheisel and his show on Sirius XM the other day. And they're like, you don't think that they are going to have players that are going to get a name, image, and likeness money? I mean, that guy was a billionaire. You don't think he's going to come up with tons of ways to pay guys to play at Coastal Carolina from here on out?
Yeah. Right, good point. Oh, yeah. I would. I'm still waiting for the...
Coastal Carolina's going to be able to give as much money away as any SEC school to players.
All right, let me bring up some more games of interest. TCU at Texas Tech, and of course Texas Tech came out and beat West Virginia last week. Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. You know, that's not the easiest place to play, and they're playing that night, Mike. That might be tough on Notre Dame.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A.
Bill, this is Max. How you this morning?
Hey.
Good morning, Max Howell. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing, Max?
Doing great, guys. How y'all today? Y'all got all the problems solved in there?
Well, we're trying to. We got a big game.
We're trying to figure out what we can do going forward, Max. It's been a tough season so far.
I don't know, man. I don't know what parents is set in, or you know, we got 2 teams in the SEC that can win, and I don't know about everybody else. Tell you the truth, I think they're all in a bunch of together.
That's you know, it's all about being physical, man. Alabama and Georgia are physical specimens.
That's right. They've worked hard. They've recruited well, and they've, you know, I thought Alabama was as well coached the first 2.5 quarters I've seen in a long time. A little concerned is Coach Saban's been about letting off the pedal in the second half of the third quarter and fourth quarter. That was 4:21. I think it kind of a concern, but they done to dominated up front.
Now, I would think that a lot of your friends lost money on taking Ole Miss and the points.
Well, see, the points were what, 18?
No, it was 14.5 at kickoff.
14, that's right, 14.5. Started 18, dropped to 14.
Which I thought it was a pretty good deal too. I thought they'd play them tougher.
Well, Alabama had a year to get ready for that. And I don't think there's any doubt that they put that.
Like Michael said at the first of the show, Max, that what would you reckon what would have happened if Ole Miss would have scored that first drive?
Well, who knows? That's the question to be answered for the future somewhere. But they didn't. And I think they'll beat Arkansas this weekend. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, I do too. I was not very impressed. Well, of course, Georgia made all that physicality.
Your buddy Ed Orgeron had a horrible late loss to Auburn. He was up 13-0 and up 19-10. Offense couldn't run the ball whatsoever. They were on the road at 6:30 on the SEC Network at undefeated Kentucky. If LSU loses to Kentucky, what's going to happen down in Baton Rouge?
And I think it's pretty well already set. I've heard the motion the job search has already been put in motion unless he wins out, and I don't think that's going to happen to him. That defense was awful. They made Bo Nix look like Jody Manziel.
Yeah, that's right.
Heisman. He won't be able to do that this week against Georgia. So, I don't know what, something internally is working. Michael, I don't know what the lawsuits that, they got pending over their head or what. But something's definitely distracted, to say the least.
Yeah. Max, I was actually fearful for Arkansas's players. I mean, they were so outmatched, overmatched physically with Georgia. Georgia looked like a bunch of brutes out there, man. They were.
Well, the difference, Mike, is that the talent level's there, but then we go where you don't bring too well as coaches Alabama. They look like a fire drill most of the time. Yeah. And that's what's going to beat them. You wait and see. They'll never beat Alabama because Kirby's fine to recruit enough kids that can overcome his coaching. But the fact is that they got great talent. But a lot of those kids are so talented they play out of position. I watched the nose tackle at 99. That kid ought to be in the NFL now. But his technique is awful. I mean, he runs up down the line. And, Alabama just run away from him. They put Bryce Young out on the corner and then never catch him. So, I mean, it's a lot of little things that's going to go on. But both of them are going to be at the SEC championship game undefeated.
Well, that's going to be something. That game's going to end up with one.
And both teams undefeated. I don't see how in the world the playoff committee could not have both of them in the playoffs, even if they lose.
I think it probably is. I think, we're going to see the third, fourth is going to be a big, strategic change, I think, from now to the end of the year. And I think they'll leave those two. I know there was some concern, particularly after Florida lost like they did in Kentucky, how Florida played within 2 points when they went to Gainesville. But there was a lot of things that, we all know that the things that caused that, the crowd noise and young boy. We give you all a good reason. Alabama won it anyway. They stayed with the one. But right now, they are the two best football teams in the country. All you got to do is
no question about it. No question about it. I don't think there's any question. LSU at Kentucky this weekend. You said the coach's job could be on the line here.
I think so. I think I think really there's some folks internally there just waiting for them to lose another ball game.
Yeah.
So they can actively get out there and do another head coach. Who that's going to be? There's all kind of names circulating already with early prognosticators, but we still got a long way to go in the season.
Of course.
I've got Mississippi State going out to College Station and beat A&M.
Hey, let me tell you this. I like Mississippi State. Believe it or not, they're a little bit physical. They can probably stand up to Alabama and Auburn physically as well as any of them.
No.
You don't think so?
That system
I mean, not actually stand up to them, but they're more of a physical team than a lot of people, though. I like them. I like them.
The quarterback played out of his mind. We were like 45 for 55 and 400 yards. I mean, how you gonna stop that?
But Michael, here's the thing. You look at that. Let's just take Mississippi State LSU. He completed 47 passes out of that. One pass was over 45 yards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
12.
It's all. Yeah.
You can't win. You're not going to win that way consistently.
Yep, you're right. But they're not. What I'm saying, they're playing pretty good and playing with a little confidence. Who do they have this week?
Yeah, but think about it, Mike. All he does.
I think they're off this week.
He takes the ball and dumps it off 5 and 6 yards. I think that's like a long handoff.
I know. Yeah, I understand. Okay, Alabama and Texas A&M this weekend. No problem with Texas A&M.
Remember that speech that before the season, Jimbo gave to the Rotary Club, said they couldn't wait to play Alabama. They were going to beat them. And Coach Saban responded, "In what?" He said, "Maybe golf."
Well, the key to A&M is what has always been is the lack of a good quarterback.
Yeah. Well, they got a freshman, and he's number 2. Was number 2. The first guy got hurt early. But it's also, Michael, it's a play calling on the sideline. They don't use a running back nearly as much. That kid came into the season as an All-American. It's just little things about both programs that doesn't match up with those programs that emerge to the top. You keep this in today's market. You got to prepare every hour, every day, just like that's your last ball game that you will win. Hey, a lot of coaches don't do that. Yeah. They get lulled to sleep by somewhat of success, and they don't prepare. And don't tell me A&M. If A&M was the team that they're supposed to be, they'd have never got beat by Mississippi State this weekend. Yeah. They'd have never had to come from behind Missouri and win on the last 2 minutes of the ball game. They'd have never lost to Arkansas. Yeah. I mean, guys, they returned 9 starters off a 10-2 team last year on defense. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to me about the lack of preparation.
This right here sounds. Y'all probably will think I'm crazy. For some reason, though, I just feel like something might be happening over there. Michigan and Nebraska. I'm thinking Nebraska might beat Michigan.
Nebraska's playing better.
Well, Vegas thinks that the line's like 3.5.
Are you serious? Man, oh man, what do you think about that, Max?
Well, I think it's got to the point where it's a week-by-week thing for these guys. It certainly matters about injuries and all. But location's important when they play at home or on the road. But I say to you, if whoever's out there, if that team hasn't worked all week to stay focused and go in there, I don't care the favorite or the underdog can win that ball game. Yeah. Did you ever think Kentucky's going to beat Florida this week?
No, I wouldn't know. I sure wouldn't have believed it.
Well, I'm just saying, you just keep that. Kentucky wanted to play. That game was lost on the field. That game was lost on the sideline during the week. Florida didn't come to play in that ball game. So, it's all about the way they prepare for it. And it's really frustrating. People like us got to talk about it every day.
That's my worry about Alabama is that, a lot of the luster is off of this Alabama-Texas A&M game, which was supposed to be the game of the year in the preseason. Yeah. And now Texas A&M's lost 2 games, and Alabama's coming off an emotional win. I wonder if Alabama's going to be really 100.
Bill, I'm going to tell you, Coach Saban showed that Florida tape, how they won by 2 points and how they played. I don't think he'll let him do that. That's the difference in that staff than other staffs. He's so driven that he doesn't let the little things slip by. He understands the psychological edge. And if he go out there and wants to go play, he'll put the 2s in there. He'll put those guys that want to play. That's what a lot of coaches won't do. You got to give Hartson credit for 2 weeks ago when he pulled Bo Nix out. Put Finley in there. I thought Finley would probably play more at LSU than he did, but Dick got the message, and he played outstanding.
And of course, he had made, you look at how they did it, most everything was just like a Houdini type thing. I mean, Bo is a competitor.
Bo had a different edge to him than I've seen him in a lot of games. He was really locked in.
He was driven, he was driven to be sure. I think he used all his talents. I don't know if he could play much better under those circumstances.
Well, what I'm saying, he had to make his, sort of an unbelievable play. Almost every time they scored, it was almost like an unbelievable play.
Can he keep doing that? Right.
He's a lot of fun. I tell you what, he has a lot of fun to watch. Yeah.
Can you imagine his dad? I mean, he's the head coach of a big 7A school in Central Phoenix City. They're undefeated. And he coaches on Friday night and then has to turn around and get in the Baton Rouge to watch his son play. That's got to be crazy for that family.
No, I bet he drove all night long. His adrenaline still flowing from the high school game.
He probably has an Auburn Dukes supplying him, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably does. He probably does. Jimmy Rain or somebody like that, wouldn't it? Florida State, you were talking about Florida State. How could they drop so far and so fast? Who is the reason for this? It's got to be somebody. Who?
Willie Taggart, I know, spills the fire.
But now, but at one time,
he created turmoil everywhere he went because the job was way bigger than he could handle. I just give you a whole list of reasons. I followed it extremely close.
Yeah.
And, I said before, that was a political hire. It didn't work. So they gonna pay the Norvell. I think Norvell's not gonna make it either. I thought he was the right guy at the time, but they still keep recruiting that gold right there. So they beat Syracuse with a last-second field goal, and I watched some of that. Yeah, but that was Syracuse. The goal's up there, I believe. Syracuse beat your boy Hugh Freeze and Liberty though. Liberty still UAB.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Hey, that is no measuring stick, guys. Come on, give me a break. Beat UAB. Wow.
Oh, me.
Hey, by the way, they also beat Troy, but I'll let that slide right now.
Why now?
Liberty beat Troy.
Yeah, that's right.
They also beat Troy.
Yeah, I know it.
I thought Liberty's pretty good. They are pretty good.
Yeah.
They should have beat Syracuse on the road. Liberty will end up being 9-2 or something like that.
Now Florida, and this team's not good everywhere, but I was looking at Florida State playing North Carolina. North Carolina's going to score a bunch of points on them, don't you think?
Oh yeah, they're going to struggle. They may get another close win like they did at Syracuse. I looked down the schedule. I don't know if there was somebody make sure that had seen the field goal and not prepare very much. And that's a lot of times that's what happens. But they've got a completely weak deal. I don't know. They don't have to have somebody come in there and just clean the house and start from scratch and then slowly build it. Yeah. I mean, look, guys, we saw Tennessee score 62. I didn't think Tennessee could score 62 at practice.
Yeah. Evidently, he's an offensive guru, this guy, he's Central Florida.
Well, Tennessee, that's good for them, but, what's really shocking is how bad Missouri is, especially on defense.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what's happening is, and we've talked about this before, are those coaches that coach, like he was at Appalachian State, it's a huge step to go from an Appalachian State to an SEC team.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I think Neil Brown was an exception. But he won big time. Of course, App State did as well.
I think he was only at App State 1 year, wasn't he, as the head coach? He might have benefited from the previous coach too. Yeah. In other words, I think the jury's still out on this.
He got the Missouri job, but he took Missouri to 5-5 last year. They weren't horrible last year.
Well, now we're seeing, though, that I wonder about this Missouri coach.
Well, I mean, everybody talks about, coaches, of course, he had health issues. He had to step down. But Gary Pinkel had Missouri. You know, I think they played an SEC championship game twice, and he was the head coach. He was a pretty good coach in Missouri.
Yeah, he was.
You know, there's a couple of teams coming up, Max. One of them is Houston. Houston is starting to play real well. Their quarterback's really a good player. You know, I'm just looking at some dark horses, but do you think that Wake Forest could, if they remained undefeated, would they make the playoffs?
I don't know. You know, you can't tell, like week by week. They've done a good job up to now, but you remember they had a decent problem, 10 or 12 years ago, with 8 of their ball games, I think, 1 year. But the base of those programs, guys, is consistency. How do you rebuild them, you get up to the top. They can't be 1 year wonders. That means you did a great job recruiting 1 year, then you let it slide, that you didn't go back and replace those guys. Those guys who move at the top start with great recruiting, and then they teach those kids and coach them up once they get there.
Yep, consistency.
Yeah, I'm a big University of Texas San Antonio fan, and they're 5-0. But then they're on the road against Western Kentucky, up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Western Kentucky is a 4-point favorite, and they're only 3-1. Explain that to me, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, guys, it's hard to just telling you, it's hard to match up. That's one of those bookies in Las Vegas make a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, Western Kentucky is 1-3. Texas San Antonio is 5-0, but Western Kentucky's the favorite. Texas San Antonio must have lost their quarterback.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, that's where they look. I'll be honest with you, I don't follow that. I don't follow those kind of teams very often because I didn't want to do that. We're ever going to get to the playoffs to national level, and that is because the division stick. I think we all know that. It's a different level. It is hard, and you can't tell which teams are going to be up. Particularly you travel, that's a 1,500-mile trip. You just can't tell how the heck they will perform.
Yeah.
The kids are different. I just tell you that I coach at both levels. That the kids are absolutely different. If you get a decent program where you get the most out of them.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of it is if you're ready to play. I believe in momentum. I believe in momentum on seasons. That's why, if you can get a big win that you're not supposed to get, it can make your season. And then if you have a deflating loss like Troy had against Louisiana Monroe, it can send you in the other direction. Yeah. There's a couple of pivot points in the season. Can you get the bounces?
Well, I don't think it's any doubt you can make, but see, what that's also, guys, the coaches show those tapes, and the kids draw an opinion about opponents early, like Monday, when they see what you get. They look at the game tape usually Sunday afternoon, and they start looking at the opponent on Monday, and they draw an opinion, no matter who they're playing. They watch their position, and the guys to be acting, that guy is snap. That takes away from them. I always remember something that teams we prepared for. We got each other for tape on their opponent because they were so bad. Because it's hard to bring the kid up psychologically. If you want to be good the week before, if they get him back up, particularly the opposing team has not been very good, if they have a different thing when they hit that field, and they don't play very well. You see that, at almost every level.
I think most coaches will acknowledge that there's just only so many games your team can really get up for in the course of a season. Really, about maybe 2 or 3 at the most.
And like you said, some of these people that were going to graduate, 20 seniors, turned out that they become eligible through these new rules, and so some teams it's just like they've just had a tremendous impact on.
But then on the other side is think about all these teams that are loaded with transfers. These transfers really have no allegiance to their new school. They haven't been around there long. They haven't, don't know anybody, or they don't really care much about them. They just want to. Yeah. And so when things start to go south, do they really hang in there like the people that were in a program 3 or 4 or 5 years would? That's to be seen.
Right, since you're reading about this, we talked about this in the Troy game. due to the fact they just didn't have a lot of staffing as far as the chair bag, stadium club seats, as far as people coming in, people coming out. There just wasn't people to work. And Greg Burns, this is at the University of Alabama, Bryant-Denny Stadium, came out and said we were dealing with a lot of challenges, quite frankly. Burns said during the interview on Crimson Tide Sports Network, about 40% of our game day staff has not been showing up to work at the University of Alabama football games. Can you imagine? They're talking about how long it takes to get into the stadium and concession stands and like people sitting in other people's seats.
All the dirty, all the dirty bathrooms.
Why are they not showing up for work?
I'm just saying. I mean, this is the sign of times right now. You know, people just aren't working. He said they're going to try to do all they can to solve the problem, but it's amazing. They're talking about how the lines are not clear about 20 minutes till kickoff. You know, they're trying to get more and more people to sign up to work, but this is just kind of crazy to me. SEC school.
And I bet you a lot of it is these crazy protocols too that they don't need. They've changed the way you do tickets and concessions and a lot of unnecessary stuff, in my opinion. They put on themselves, you know. The other thing I'll notice is that, and I'm going to keep harping on it, the trend in college football, pro football too, pro sport, any sport, is decline in attendance. I'm seeing it everywhere. You know, we've made much about UAB and their fancy new expensive stadium. You watch 5-10 years from now, that's going to be an albatross or end up being something that is a flop. There's not going to be anybody going to UAB football games unless they get Newt Rockney to come back and coach UAB.
I don't know.
Well, they're going to use it as concert venues. You know, the World Games is huge. It's like a mini Olympics. That's where the opening ceremonies, different events for the World Games.
Oh, I got it. If you got it, go ahead and use it any way you can. I'm all for that. You know, get the Rolling Stones to come.
The Alabama High School State Championship games will be there now from here on out.
Gonna be where?
There's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful facility.
And I have no doubt it is, but I'm just saying their main tenant, UAB, this is going to take them to the next level. I don't think it's going to happen.
Thanks. Of course, you know, I know you're up and at them all over the place. You're here and there, but you got to let somebody know what's for dinner.
Mike, I tell you what, I'm traveling so much now. You know, we did this past Sunday night. We did this. All the guys we fishing caught up. I mean, a ton of crappie and it's a little bigly bass. If we deep fried all of that stuff. It's just purpose and coleslaw. And we got a couple of desserts out there. We had about eight or nine. But you know, we got bird season on. All the guys are getting their dip lots ready for squirrel season's in.
Yeah.
Now, all my group is on Delta. Thursday afternoon instead of Sunday on the squirrel hunt.
Yeah.
Now, the squirrels that run the trees down in the Delta, the Mississippi, off the river, they're not like the squirrels.
They're big squirrels, aren't they?
You run over one of those in the road, it's like hitting a log.
I know it.
What do you hunt with those? What kind of gun do you use to get a little big squirrel?
410.
My guys shoot them with rifles. They ain't no pellets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They knock them out with.
They shoot them out of a nest too. They shoot them out of a nest.
They use a 22 rifle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shoot them. They got scopes through the rifle. They can shoot an eye out of a squirrel.
Yeah, see, they're coming out of the nest, and that's why they use the rifle. It makes more of a sport, I reckon.
I'm gonna tell you, there are more deer around than I have ever seen. They're in my backyard every day.
I know it.
But I see them when I go on Highway 231. I see the carcasses on the side of the road. I saw a deer in the front yard of somebody's house in College Street last night. You know what I'm thinking? They're not thinning out the deer like they used to, because I'm thinking there's not as many people hunting.
Of course, you got a lot of rye. People got, like my yard's got a lot of rye in it. They come up there and eat that rye.
Like a salad bar to them.
Max, we appreciate you calling. I hope you have a great week.
I'll do it, guys. Thank y'all so much.
All right, good. All right. Of course, we appreciate you, and of course, for Bill Rice coming in here and bailing me out.
I don't
it's
know
hard to go one-on-one. Why now?
You can go on break today?
Not really.
I had to take my kids to school. My wife's out of town, so I'll be in the regular time tomorrow.
And we're having fun. We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early.